Hello, everyone. We're starting the meeting now. We're just going to record away here and start sharing what's happening for this next Adult Leaders Meeting, Session 2 for Houston, the Lutherans Outdoors Experience. So we're ready to go. We have some folks that are already on the meeting, and then there will, of course, be people that will be watching this down the road. So hello to everyone that's watching this live, and hello to all of the people who will be watching this when it's recorded in a little bit. So we're going to just start rolling with everything right now and keep on plugging away and sharing all the information that we got when we were just down in Houston for the extravaganza, and we will just kind of power through and give people a chance to answer or to ask any questions as well. So just a reminder, there's a large group of people that will be traveling with us to Houston, which is really fun. It's the second time that we've done this, and about 100 more people that will be traveling with us. So it's a really fun and really exciting opportunity for Lutherans Outdoors to be able to provide a shared opportunity for congregations, but also for Lutherans Outdoors to connect with so many high school students this summer. It's a great honor that you would come along with us to Houston, and we expect to have a fun but really meaningful trip as well. So it's good to be a part of this. As we get ready to kind of center our time together, I'm guessing that maybe some of you have been planning to do your getting ready time, and I'm noticing that I have a typo here. This is the Gathering for Relationship, and this is from the February Getting Ready material. Some of you have maybe already done this with your group, but just a reminder of this great resource and a chance to connect with one another and talking about relationships for all of us as adult leaders, and then also how we connect with the kids. So from Acts, this is the wonderful story of Philip and the Ethiopian eunuch, which I'm sure is always fun to talk about with high schoolers, but it's a part of what we get to share from the Bible. So here we go. Then an angel of the Lord said to Philip, "Get up and go toward the south to the road that goes down from Jerusalem to Gaza. This is a wilderness road." So he got up and went. Now there was an Ethiopian eunuch, a court official of Candace, queen of the Ethiopians, in charge of her entire treasury. He had come to Jerusalem to worship and was returning home. Seated in his chariot, he was reading the prophet Isaiah. Then the Spirit said to Philip, "Go over to his chariot and join it." So Philip ran up to it and heard him reading the prophet Isaiah. He asked, "Do you understand what you are reading?" He replied, "How can I, unless someone guides me?" And he invited Philip to get in and sit beside him. Now the passage of the scripture that he was reading was this: "Like a sheep he was led to the slaughter, and like a lamb silent before its shearer, so he does not open his mouth. In his humiliation justice was denied him. Who can describe his generation? For his life is taken away from the earth." The eunuch asked Philip, "About whom, may I ask you, does the prophet say this, about himself or someone else?" Then Philip began to speak, and starting with the scripture, he proclaimed to him and good news about Jesus. And they were going along the road. They came to some water, and the eunuch said, "Look, here is water. What is to prevent me from being baptized?" He commanded the chariot to stop, and both of them, Philip and the eunuch, went down to the water, and Philip baptized him. When they came up out of the water, the Spirit of the Lord snatched Philip away. The eunuch saw him no more and went on his way rejoicing. As I was reading through that, the thing that really jumped out at me was the section that says, "How can I unless someone guides me?" And I think that's a really powerful thing to think about, especially as leaders that are heading down with youth, and the impact that people who are having a guiding experience will be able to have throughout this trip. The man needed someone to guide him, and if we try to understand things alone or from others who don't have any knowledge of this topic, we are not really engaging in relationship. We are just listening to ourselves. The man learned that the grace of God changes everything, and he learned that from being in a relationship with Philip. Although short-term, it was nonetheless a relationship. Being in relationship is about being in community. And community comes from building healthy relationships with those we know and those we don't, with those who are different from us, those who think differently, speak differently, and look differently. These differences are a building block to healthy community. We can celebrate those differences while seeking to incorporate everyone into community. Houston is the most diverse city in the country. There is no ethnic or racial majority in Houston. It's a beautiful mosaic of God's creation, and we get to immerse in that community during the gathering. It's a thing to celebrate and to learn from. This is a part of our lives that I think sometimes more than others we get to experience. I know I just spent time at a middle school here in Sioux Falls, and that day was surrounded by a lot more diversity than I think I get to experience, especially compared to sometimes in our congregation. So it's a part of what our world looks like here in the United States. And so it's wonderful to be able to encounter this as we all gather together in Houston. So now as we continue our time together, let's pray. God of love, you ask us to be in relationship with one another. In a world where the messages of relationships are unrealistic or completely warped, please open us to learning how you want us to be in relationship. We ask for guidance as we learn the desires you have for our lives. In your name we pray. Amen. All right, we're gonna talk about how we are spending time together. Specifically, we're gonna jump right into the category of housing. I'm guessing you all saw the announcement that our hotel is the Marriott Marquis in downtown Houston. It is a beautiful, beautiful hotel. Kevin, my husband, who is the Synod Day director, was able to visit that place when he was down there in November, and I know Sawyer and Suzanne were able to see it and visit it when they were there just this last time when we were there for extravaganza and for Synod coordinator training that Suzanne was at. And we got really close to it when we had lunch together during the extravaganza. Those who were there from the Synod gathered for lunch, and then it started raining. And so we said, that's close enough to the hotel. I think that the pictures online will just tell us the story enough about how fancy it is, and we'll just trust them. And we know where it is, we get the idea, and then we walked through a food court, so we know where the eating close to the hotel is. So we got those two things figured out. The thing that I thought was really fancy about the amenities is that there's a Texas-shaped lazy river at our pool, or at our hotel. So that seems like a really cool and unique thing that hopefully we'll get to experience a little bit. I don't know, it's hard when you're at the gathering because there's so many things that are happening. There's not necessarily a lot of time for lounging around the hotel, but that's one really cool thing. So does anyone have any questions about that? Sorry, maybe starting supper now. So if you hear crunching or munching or anything, that's what's happening here. All right, we'll keep on rolling through. I'll talk a little bit more about the ways that we are going to start doing the housing assignments in just a little bit here. So payment number 2 of $375 per person was due on February 1st, which has already passed, but you can still send your payments in. I'll have to be totally honest and say I have not tracked who has and who hasn't made their payments yet. So if they come in now, I'm not really saying like, oh, you were late or anything like that. So just send them on in, and in the next week or so, I'll be able to look through and make sure we have payments from everyone, and I'll follow up with anyone that maybe needs to be followed up with. And then the next payment, the final payment, will be on May 1st. So you have a little bit of time there. One little thing about payments, as we have possibilities of substitutions and stuff like that, especially if there's a substitution that's taking place from a congregation other than your own, you can fill out that information, or you can send that information to the congregation where you are taking the space from. So if for example, this is actually happening, Hartford had a space that opened up. So that space, there was someone, I can't remember from what congregation, that had an extra person. And so that extra person that is going to be filling that spot for Hartford, I'm going to contact the group leader that had the extra spot who's filling that spot. So they will be responsible for sending that initial payment of $350 to Christ Hartford to reimburse that, if that makes any sense at all. If not, just let me know. It's probably a little confusing, but basically you only have to worry about it if you are filling a space. So you can contact me if that's happening for you, or if you have a space that opens up that you want to open up to the group. And then we will move on to giveaways and t-shirts. I know that this was a question on the Facebook page or in the Facebook group. We will have one LO shirt, one Synod shirt, and then one shirt for the day of service. One point in time, someone said something, there was a rumor about the Synod or the service day shirt being teal. I have nothing to back that up, but that was something that was rumbling around. So if you are planning your t-shirt for your congregation, if you would like to do a congregational t-shirt, maybe steer away from teal. And if you don't care, then it also doesn't matter. But so there will be 3 shirts for our time at the gathering: an LO shirt, a Synod shirt, and 1 shirt for the day of service that will be issued by the gathering. We will be giving away bracelets. For giveaway items, we'll be ordering those from the Synod office here, and those will be the fun things that you can share with other people that you can connect with. And then if you have anything that you want to do on your own, you can feel free to get your own giveaways or a congregational t-shirt. Wednesday night's a great night to wear your congregational t-shirt, or on Sunday when we're heading home, because there will be mass gathering opportunities at both of those times. So if there's a day that you're considering having a shirt, those would be perfect opportunities for doing that. And then you just have to figure out one more thing, 2 more shirts to wear for the trip. But basically you're pretty much covered, you're packed, you don't even have to plan that. You can just be rid of that information or that stressor there. Any questions on that?
Not on that, but I don't know if it's my computer or if it's your camera. I'm really flashing.
Really flashing?
Yeah, it's like a bad connection or something.
Oh. Let me try and get out of this here. Do you see? Oh, yeah. It's like a laser light show. That's bad. So is it showing the slides, or not the slides at all?
No slides.
No, I haven't seen the slides.
No slides, just you. No slides.
Well, that's no fun. Thank you for saying something.
With the books, is there a place at the hotel, if we we're gonna buy them online and have them shipped and held for us, or do we need to bring them down with us?
I think that I'm not really sure about the hotel, whether or not we can ship them down. Sorry, I'm trying to multitask and answer a question while trying to make this go here. Did that work? I know I'm still stroby over here, but maybe just don't look at me. That's very strange.
That showed up.
Okay. I don't know why there's strobiness going on, but I wonder if I just unshare that.
It's better now that you have the slide up. We don't have to see.
Right, because you don't have to see the whole thing.
Okay, how many people are we putting in a room?
Well, that's what I was going to say. So the hotel, we don't really know that much information about. That's what I was going to follow up with about the books. Is that until we are able to actually contact the hotel, I'm not going to be able to answer the question about shipping books, and I'm also not going to be able to answer the question of how many people we're putting in a room. because I won't know that until I know exactly how many rooms they assign to us. And then also, I would imagine that the hotel would have a space that we could ship things to. There's also a chance that they would charge a fee for that. So it could go a couple of ways. Like you could, if you wanted to, possibly purchase books when in Houston or ship them down. But we're not going to have all of the space in the world on the buses, but we will have some space on the buses. So I'm not sure if it's best to just see how many books you purchase and would be traveling with, and then we assess from there. Like if everyone says, oh, our congregations just really came through with all of the books in the world, and now we have a bus full of books, and I think we're going to probably need to figure out how we can ship them there. If we're talking like 4 boxes of books, I think we figure out how we can get them on the buses, you know?
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Yes.
So the books will kind of depend on the amount, and then the hotel will depend on how many rooms we receive. And so that takes us right into the online form. So the substitution form is available. You can fill that out if you have any substitutions that you're making. There won't be any cancellations made from our group, and we can't make any after May 15th. And then the housing online form is available already at the Houston Gathering page of the ELO website, which I'm guessing you all know where that is. That's where all of the information is for the ELO specific trip. How we do this is each youth will select a choice 1 and a choice 2 for a roommate. And so then you'll just go through the list, and Sally Hansen gets to choose friend 1, Josephine Smith, and friend 2, Alyssa Supernaut. And then once I get the opportunity to fill out the housing forms, we can see who all we get to put together. They will for sure be with one of the people that is listed. So also, depending on your group size, like if you have 4 girls or 5 girls and they really want to just all be in a room together, just make note of that on there and say, you know, it would just be easiest if we could all be on there, even if, or in the same room, even if it means one person sleeping on the floor. Just let me know that that's how you would like it done, and we can roll with it from there. And that's kind of the way we gauge it. But again, it all depends on the kinds of rooms that the hotel gives us. If they're giving us any king rooms, then that changes the dynamics of how we'll be splitting up the housing and stuff like that, and then just kind of how it all plays out. But the intent is that we probably have 3 or 4 people in a room, and that will be congregations together. And I will do my best to not have a lot of people who don't know each other room together. It will just kind of all be that whole housing Jenga that I play down the road here.
Question for you. We have one male chaperone going. How does that work?
So that one male chaperone will likely be roomed with some other male chaperones.
Okay.
I wouldn't put a male chaperone in a room with male youth that they don't know. That'd be weird.
Because we have 3 youth males and then 1 male chaperone. So
if you have 1 male chaperone and 3 boys, and if your congregation's okay with adults and youth being housed in the same room, which would be a very common recommendation, that it would be appropriate as long as they're not sleeping in the same bed, that's what I would go with, so that it would be, we would probably need to either bring an air mattress, or we can request the rollout beds in that scenario.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and if your congregation has a very strong policy about youth and adults not rooming together, please let me know about that.
Well, it's our
Just because
pastor, and I don't know if the youth would be want to be in the same room as their pastor.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, that's totally fine. So just when you're filling out that online housing form, just make note of that, and that will be a piece of the super fun puzzle I will be trying to complete in March.
So there might be a possibility that, you know, I'm going down with my group. My wife's going down with her group
Yep,
out of Bethlehem, but they're taking their own set of buses and stuff.
right.
There possibility that we could actually room together, because I hadn't been planning on it.
It would probably be dependent on the amount of rooms that Bethlehem gets. Like if they have plenty of rooms and it just works out with their housing, it's actually super nice that we'll be housed at the same location as all of the synod this time. I think that gives us a little bit of additional flexibility. In the last time around, we weren't in the same hotel, so we really were limited with our room space. Now, obviously, we'll only be able to get the amount of rooms that the entire state is given, but that will open some doors for us since we'll all be in the same hotel, which would be really nice.
One more question. Do you think like each congregation will be on the same floor, or we just will be wherever we get sent?
I highly doubt that would work out that beautifully. Suzanne was asking me that this morning as well. She's like, oh, I sure hope no other people will get put on the floor of the youth. And I was like, oh, yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Because then no one's going to be cranky. But I can imagine there will definitely be a scenario where someone who is not expecting to be housed in a hotel with like 1,000 youth will be right smack dab in the middle of it and probably housed next to the like rowdiest young people in the whole entire universe. Because that's just how it all kind of works out in those scenarios. So if it should so happen that we're all on the same floor or a church is on the same floor, that would be glorious, but I would not count on it because that would be too convenient. Also, along with housing, okay, hold on 1 second. There's water out here. You can go get a cup, and then there's a water. Okay. Hotels seem to have infamously slow elevators, so that is something you want to prepare your youth and adults about. The fact that their elevators will take a long time. So when you're talking about all of the things in the world that you're going to be needing to be patient about when you are traveling about in Houston, elevators is going to be a huge thing on there. I know even when we were there for the extravaganza and we were at the Hyatt Regency, there were a lot of us that ended up taking the stairs. I mean, obviously, if you're on the 24th, 24th floor, you're not going to want to take the stairs. So obviously, hold on, I'll be right back. Sorry. So obviously, if you're on a really high up floor, you're not going to be taking the stairs, but anyone who's like super active and wanting to get extra steps in, sometimes that's a quicker way of getting around things. So start preparing for that there. Any other questions about online forms, housing, etc.? We can quickly review the things we talked about last time, continuing to remember to pray for your students, for the other leaders, and for the leadership of the gathering. I'd say specifically the leadership of the gathering is just phenomenal, and I'm so grateful for all of the hard work that they're doing. They are amazing, and I'm so grateful for all of that. A reminder for the tools. Group building, there are great resources for that we covered last time, and make sure that you're reminding of the students the covenants that they signed and all of the information that's included there. Bible studies, and then those getting ready materials from the ELCA resources page. Bus assignments, just a reminder, if you want to be housed with some, or if you want to ride on a bus with someone, to please send those requests my way. I know that I've received a number of those. I will be sending that out. Part of the housing Jenga will also be bus puzzle piece putting together and Jenga making. So we'll be including that as well. So you'll have all of that information. We won't have any meetings or anything for that. I'll just send that out via email. Fundraisers, how are things going? Is everyone still doing well? Updates, questions, things they want to share?
This is Stacy from Grace over in Parker, and we're actually doing a soup fundraiser on Ash Wednesday, and all the proceeds are going to go for some kind of service project that we're going to do by ourselves while we're down there, whether it be like socks with toiletries or whatnot that we can hand out or something fun like that. So I wanted to share that idea.
Oh, that's a really cool idea. Yeah, I think one thing that we haven't talked about at all, but I know is a good practice, is to make sure that you're including some offerings or some donations in some of your fundraising that you're doing. I'm not necessarily including that in what we have for Lutherans Outdoors and for that price. So if you are making sure to tithe a gift from your congregation, make sure to include that so that you can take that down. And I know that often the gathering has recommendations about what you would do for that. So make sure you're including that in what you're doing. And a service project or a different way of giving is a really cool idea for making sure that there's extra giving that happens. All right. Again, MailChimp emails from me. Obviously, if you're watching this, you're getting the MailChimp email. So it's kind of hard if people aren't seeing this, or if they're not in the meetings, they're probably not getting the emails. But I think for the most part, people are receiving the information, gathering e-news, and then the Facebook group for this group is really great. I think it's been fun seeing people ask questions and respond to one another, and that's another virtual way we can connect with one another. So I'm very thankful for that. Make sure you visit the LO website if you are wondering about things, if you're looking for payment information or timelines, that type of thing. That's all included. That's under the events and retreats, and then Houston Gathering is just a drop down. So you could even just Google Houston Gathering Lutherans Outdoors and you'd be able to find that. And then elca.org/gathering. I cannot emphasize enough how many great things that they have on that website. So many great downloads, songs, videos, and stuff like that. So that's really, really been helpful. I'll highlight a few of my favorite resources in just a minute. So tentative schedule is still a little bit tentative. I'm waiting to hear back from a place in Wichita to see if they will extend their hours for a water park so that we can make that fit with our schedule. So we'll meet at the Augustana University Chapel, not Augustana College Chapel, at 9 a.m., have a blessing service in the chapel, depart. Make sure that people are packing a lunch on the bus so that we don't have to stop right away. And then later on down the road, we'll have a supper break. You take it out there so it's not messy. So then the supper break in Wichita will take place, and that will be paid for on your own. Then the Wichita activity, probably a water park, will be cost included. Then we'll hop back on the bus for hopefully a wonderful night's sleep on the buses. And arriving in Houston on the morning of Tuesday. And then I'm not entirely sure, and I would love your feedback on this. So the NASA Museum or the Space Center and then Galveston are relatively close to one another. So I'm not entirely sure if you think it would be more fun or better for the youth to spend time in the museum first, or if it would be better for them to go on an ocean adventure, run around, do all sorts of fun stuff like that, and then have lunch and then do the museum. What do you think would be best? Any thoughts? As I said that out loud, I kind of thought ocean adventure first, but I don't know. You guys, you know your youth better than I do, so if you have a recommendation.
I think how you have it is better, knowing the kids, and if they're getting in the water and getting all wet, and they probably want to just go to a hotel and clean up.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
I agree.
first.
Okay. They do, but some of the folks from South Dakota went to a beach that had showers at it. I don't know how it would be able to support 300 youth, but so I'm guessing that if you think that young people will engage in a Space Center experience without being too tired from the journey, then we'll just keep it as it is, and then do the ocean adventure in the afternoon. You can ponder it a little bit. Let me know if you have any like change of heart down the road here, and then we'll be good to solidify it a little bit more. And the cost is included for the museum or the Space Center, and then also for the ocean adventure as well. So then we'll check into the hotel, load buses, and depart for dinner again after people have kind of cleaned up a little bit. And then we'll have some time for relaxing at the hotel, you know, experiencing that Texas-shaped lazy river, and then making sure to have some time in doing devotions in our congregational group. Then on the 27th, Houston Adventure is to be determined, congregational choice. So that means like it's an additional cost. So, or an additional thing that you're just kind of planning on your own. I know that when we were down there, the zoo was really fun and people really liked that. So if that's something you're interested in, we could probably get a group rate. So if people are interested in doing the zoo, I would coordinate that. It would just be an additional cost. If there are other things that you want to do in the area or have your heart set on, let me know and we can see if there would be group rates for that as well. Or if you want to just sleep in and get rested, that's fine too. But know that that's another thing that you can be figuring out. For me, I kind of like just seeing what's around the area. So I know that that's another way you can be spending your time as well. We'll be in downtown Houston, but I think we would go a little bit further into downtown Houston and experiencing some of the other things that are in that area. There's great art scene in Houston. There are a lot of sculptures. There's a river walkway type of place, and then there's a library. There's just a lot of really cool stuff that's really in the area of our hotel. So lots of fun things that we can explore and experience. So we'll be setting that up for the afternoon, kind of a structured exploration time, so to speak. So that will be taking place in the afternoon. And then what they're recommending is that we leave for the NRG Center at like 3:30 in the afternoon to make sure that we get out there. We'll be taking the light rail to transport ourselves, but it will take a bit, and they want to make sure that people are getting over to that area plenty early. So it might seem like, oh, we don't need to get down there until later, but you want to get down there nice and early, and then also you're going to be needing to eat in that area, which, as we know, if you've ever been to a gathering before, takes a very long time when there are a lot of people there. So it seems like, oh, that takes up a big chunk of the day, but it's important that we're traveling nice and early so that people are able to go with the flow, so to speak. And at that point in time, congregations will be traveling on their own. I won't be coordinating any of the logistics, so we won't have to be worrying about traveling as a group of 300. You'll be traveling in your congregation groups, and you can be working out the logistics for how you get from point A to point B. Another thing that Suzanne was saying that they were talking about quite a bit, especially with the light rail, is making sure that your kids know the importance of being safe in a big city. And I know that everyone's very aware of the topic of human trafficking and making sure that people are being kept very safe. There's going to be a lot of people there, a lot of young people, so there will be the feel of, oh, well, I'm just moving with this crowd of people, and they're all here for the gathering. This is a really safe experience, even though I'm in a really big place. Your adults and your young people should be connected with them in a way that they are staying safe and knowing who they are traveling with. So especially if they are out and about in the city, there should be an adult traveling with youth. And I can't remember, we talked a little bit about ratio for traveling in the city, but I don't remember.
5 to 1.
So 5-to-1 ratio of adult to youth when they're in the city. And then once you're in the interaction center or
They're not by themselves.
yeah. So if they're traveling outside of kind of the, I don't know, the energy, even if they're in the energy for the mass gatherings, I would recommend that they would be with an adult when they're in the, are we calling it the interaction center?
Yeah, the NRG.
For the day where they get to do experiential learning, then it's okay for kids to be traveling in groups of 3, not 2, because if something happens to one and one has to leave, that's bad. So there should always be 3 youth traveling together, and if they're outside of that space, 5 youth and 1 adult. So then the Synod Day is at the hotel on Thursday. We know that for sure. There's that great shopping area that's really close to our hotel. So you can make sure and do an early lunch that day, and then we'll be gathering back at the hotel at 12:30 on Thursday for Synod Day. That afternoon will be all of our Synod together. That will be planned and kind of guided by a team of individuals who will be doing that, and then hopping on the light rail to the energy, which is, kind of this cloudish place that we don't know about because we haven't experienced or we haven't been in
They're
before.
going to have a wristband if they're going to be on the light.
Oh yeah, and so to get on the light rail, they'll have a wristband. That will be part of what we receive when we're registering it. So that will be key to be a part of our traveling experience. And
Is there a cost with that we need to figure in, or is the gathering covering?
Yeah, that's included with the gathering.
Okay.
Since we're not using any other transportation from the gathering, that's included.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yep. So then we don't know for sure what our Friday or Saturday rotation will be, but obviously one day we'll be doing service and the other day will be the interaction center. The evenings after the mass gatherings, the community life is all taking place at the energy as well. So everything's really focused in that area. So once you get over to energy, you'll be staying in that area. And then when you return home to the hotel, then you'll be back in that area.
Community life is going to be open, or you go in there anytime.
So anytime, community life is all the time. Okay, any questions about that?
When I was looking at the hotel, I noticed we were like 2 blocks from the baseball stadium.
Yes.
And I checked out the schedule, and there's a game Tuesday night and Wednesday afternoon.
Oh,
Would that work if there is any interest? Would one work
Yeah.
better than the other?
I would recommend Tuesday night.
Okay.
Since that's a little bit freer on the schedule. I mean, I know people will probably be a little bit weary from road time, but that would be what I would recommend so that you don't go up against kind of the afternoon before the mass gathering and really
Yep.
getting acclimated to the downtown area. So
Okay.
yeah, Tuesday night, feel free since it's kind of our free time.
Okay.
That would be awesome.
Would we just not do dinner? Would that be your recommendation? Just kind of do dinner on our own or dinner at the park if we decided
what
to do
time-
that?
What time is the game?
I think it's at 7.
Oh, yeah, I would imagine that we'll be somewhere in that area. So we
Okay.
could either load buses and depart for dinner, or we can just decide to have our dinner at that somewhere in that area. It kind of depends on
Okay.
if there would be other people that would be interested in doing that. So
I didn't know if
Well,
you were planning a big dinner for everyone or if we were just kind of all on our own that night or what the plan was.
yeah, I'm not entirely sure that we would have a place that will fit us
Yep.
all. It's a little different than we really lucked out with the Pizza Populis place in Detroit. I have not done any research to find a place that would
Okay.
be able to house all of us this time. We could maybe do a couple people. Yeah, we'd have to go
Yeah.
somewhere far away. So
Okay.
we'll see on that. So I'm just gonna pencil in here baseball game for some.
Just looked and the Twins are there the day before. That's too bad.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Yeah.
so close.
And they hadn't released prices or ticket availability or anything yet the last time I looked a week or so
Okay.
ago. So
Okay. Well, that's a fun find. Okay, so any questions about any of the logistical stuff for what we know right now? Maybe apparently thinks logistics are hilarious, which is maybe a good thing for us to remember when we're in Houston and possibly people are being frustrated with things or people are being grumpy. We just have to have a lighthearted attitude about all of these things, and flexibility is key, and pack snacks. Those are my 2 big things. Be flexible and pack snacks.
Water.
And
Water,
water.
water,
Lots of water. It would be very, very hot. So, okay. I have some getting ready resources to highlight. These are some of the things that I found today that I thought were really fun. And then also they had kind of debuted at the Extravaganza Gathering. Heads up, if you've ever played that game, it's an app where you can play charades with one another. This particular version, you have to build your own deck, but they gave us a list of terms. It's 99 cents to create your own deck, but it's a fun way to kind of get acclimated to some of the terms in the Houston area. So that's one thing you can do with your group. There's more information about that on the Getting Ready resource, but that is just one thing I thought that I should highlight. The Blast Off for Books, which we already talked a little bit about, is another thing to take into consideration. People love making sure that there are books for people, and so collect away whatever it looks like in your congregation. Go for it, and then keep me updated, and then we'll also try and figure out the logistics with the hotel, depending on the best way to logistically get the books down there. And then the last thing, and I thought that after I put this in, I also thought that it would be a good idea for me to give you all my cell number in case you don't have it. It's a little bit squiggly on the screen here, but they have a document that is an important phone numbers card that you should print for your youth in your congregation, because you know what we don't know these days? We don't know phone numbers. So if we lose our phone, we have no way of contacting people. I don't know that young people are going to be so great at also keeping a piece of paper in their pocket if they've already left their cell phone. But it's one more just safety feature that you can try and get connected with people. So I think that, don't they usually on the wristbands they have like an emergency phone number or something from the gathering? But
Could be, they never mentioned that.
yeah, but also to just have a backup plan. Maybe you just a Sharpie on all of the young people in the morning, like, here's my cell number, let me write it on you again. Or maybe you should get temporary tattoos. I'm not really sure, but this is just one thing to remind ourselves that remembering phone numbers is not something that we are accustomed to these days. So whatever it is that you can do to make sure that people have phone numbers in their possession, that's a really important thing to be doing. So just another piece there. I don't know if there are any other things that you all have found within the Getting Ready resources. My cell number, if you don't have it, is 605-321-4557. Again, 605-321-4557.
Give them mine too.
And Suzanne's is
605-553-0885. 605-553-0885.
so if you didn't catch any of that, or if you need to be reminded, just feel free to email me and I'll send those. I'll try and include that on the next email that I send out to from MailChimp, just so that you all have it. Maybe it's already included, it might be, but I just felt like in that moment I was like, oh, I should make sure that people have that, because it's important that we share our phone numbers with one another so we can get connected. So is there anything that you are curious about that I may or may not know the answers to? Anything else you'd like to share?
The medical forms that you asked for this last payment, is that something that you want or something that we just keep with us?
Well, I'm collecting them right now just to make sure that I have them all, so that we are keeping track of them all. You should have a copy of them with you as well, but I will also be I have just a giant file tub thing that I have all of the information in. So you should have them because you're obviously the one traveling with the students, but I would also like to have a copy as well that I keep in my file of all of the things.
Okay.
Anything else?
Did this motel have continental breakfast? I didn't think it did, but
I'm sure they do not.
okay, that's what I was kind of thinking looking at it, but
Yeah. So the plan is to have something simple for all of the young people included, like a granola bar or something like that, just to get started for the day. Like I'll be making sure to provide that for everyone,
okay.
just to be sure that no one is not eating something just because it might take too long or it just costs too much or whatever, just so that people have a food item that can be with them. But they should not be assuming that we'll have like all of the pancakes in the world to eat for free. That's not going to be included this time around.
They cannot, their bags will be searched as they go in.
Their bags will be searched as they go into the energy.
However, they can have granola bars. They can't bring much food.
Okay.
But they can have down in the bottom.
Oh.
They can take a few granola bars.
They can take granola bars. That they are allowing sneaky granola bars in bags.
It's a long wait, and they can take it,
Okay. That's very helpful.
not hamburgers or French fries.
Do you have a rough estimate about how much money the kids should bring for meals and stuff? what's a good figure to tell them?
Ask the parents. I mean, it's so different for per
Each
kid.
Each
Um,
kid is different.
I mean, it's not cheap, but every kid is going to be different. So, you know, like $15 per meal is probably a safe thing to plan. But parents are going to know if their kid eats a lot or if their kid doesn't really eat very much. So just recommend that parents make good, educated decisions. to keep their-
Are they providing lunch on the day of service again?
Suzanne, do you remember? Do you know about that? We were just asking about that, and I don't
believe so.
I don't
because
know
they're
that they
starting later.
on the service day.
Oh, well, service day.
Not
I
this
see
midday.
that. Service day.
I think we don't know enough about the service day to know the answer to that question yet.
Okay.
I hope that as we get closer, we'll get that information. That's one thing that we do not know about yet.
So Suzanne, when you were down there, were you able to sample from the lunch wagons or see what their menus were? I mean,
No.
no?
There's going to be a lot of food trucks. We're going to be in it. The problem with being down in the downtown area is that on Saturday and Sunday morning we're leaving, but there isn't anything open to provide food. So somehow you've got to come up with something. All restaurants are closed on Saturday. That's just what they do. They just close on Saturday. So
Yeah, and the tunnels that they have in Houston as well are closed on Saturday.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful, fingers crossed, that Saturday is our service day and that a lunch is provided, because that would make everything a whole lot easier.
I think they're going to have to. They can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see, but that's my optimistic thinking about how that will all play out, because it'll be nice because we won't have to worry about downtown stuff being closed. It'll just also be nice because we won't have to worry as much about some of the transportation stuff and everything. And then obviously energy will be set up in the same way that it has on the other days. So yeah.
So is there service day on Saturday?
No, we don't know yet.
No, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
We won't know that
Suzanne's
till
like,
March.
wait, we won't know. I'm just being optimistic. So we'll see so everyone cross your fingers and your toes that I am optimistically thinking how it will play out. That's how it's been in the past, is that it's been Thursday
And Saturday.
and then Saturday. So I hope, I don't know, hopefully they don't mess with me and my schedule, and the schedule that's in my mind. You know, they should know better, right? It should be good. It will be fine. It really will be fine. Everything will be fine as long as essentially adults are going into it with an attitude of flexibility, and as long as the young people know to keep on rolling with that, and as long as they're being able to connect with one another and connecting with the powerful experience that they'll be having in Houston, and being really open to learning about others in that area and about their faith and service. I think it would be really great.
What they kept saying at this training or this meeting I was at, it's just food, it's not death. It's just food, it's not death.
Yeah.
So if you think of it like that, then it's just food, it's not death.
And they have a lot of Lyfts and Ubers that are readily available. There's a Trader Joe's, there's a Whole Foods, I assume there's a Kroger's, there are CVS grocery stores that are within driving distance. So if you as an adult need to take a run to a grocery store that's not too far away, I mean, it's like $7 to get to a grocery store to pick up some things if you are concerned about making sure that your kids have sandwiches for an evening or sandwiches for a lunch or something along those lines. So those are things that we checked out and that we were able to kind of experience down there. Obviously, transportation is going to be a little bit different when there are an extra 30,000 youth and adults there, but it's not as if we're going to a place that doesn't have grocery stores or the ability to connect us with food in some way. It's a big city with lots and lots of opportunities, so it will all be okay. Well, I think we're getting close to the hour here, so we want to make sure to honor that. So if there's not anything else that you guys are curious about, remember, you can always call me, you can always text me if you just think of something at the last second and you're curious about it. As of right now, we won't plan to have another webinar or another online meeting, and you can always call Suzanne as well as the Synod coordinator. If you have any musical youth that are traveling with you, Kevin's still coming up with people who are going to be playing in the youth band for the Synod Day, so another plug for that. If I haven't already told this group, I can't remember who I told. If you have people that you think would be great possibilities for that leadership experience, please email me their names. Or actually, no, just email them to Kevin, because that way I don't have to be the go-between. And his email is kevinspilson@Westside, I think. If you try sending a name to Kevin and it doesn't go through, let me know, and I will check what his email is. Speaking of people not knowing how to contact people, I don't even know my own husband's email address. So. Well, thank you so much for your time tonight and for your commitment to these young people and adults in your congregations. This is always such a huge impact on everyone that attends these trips, and I know that it meant a lot to me growing up, and it's meant a lot to me as an adult leader and in ministry throughout the years. So thank you so much for being a part of this. I know it's not easy for a multitude of reasons, but it makes a huge impact, and I'm so grateful for you all being a part of this journey. Suzanne,
Me too.
you can't see Suzanne, but she's over here.
I'm over here playing with Maisie. I was really excited about the hotel that we're going to be in. In fact, I have a photo. I'll have to have Sawyer send that out. The Marriott Marquis is a beautiful hotel, and I was very happy about that. And it's not in the middle now of everything else. It's kind of out. So
I think Sawyer posted them to the Facebook group.
Oh, okay.
I believe he posted them on the South Dakota Synod Youth Directors page, and then I think he also posted them in the LO Gathering Leaders group too. So, well, be in touch. Make sure to reach out to me if you have any questions, and to either of us if you have any questions. And thank you for your time tonight. Let's close with a word of prayer. The Lord be with you.
Also with you.
Lord, we thank you for gathering us tonight, for the gift of technology, for the gift of leaders in our church, for the gift of a place to go to experience relationships, community, and diversity. Be with us as we continue to plan, prepare, and to share about the wonderful opportunity that will be taking place this summer in Houston with all of those people that we are connecting with in our congregations, those who are going along with, or those who are staying back here. It will be an impact and a life-changing experience for people of faith. Be with us and continue to guide us, keep us safe and healthy throughout the coming months as we continue with this process. In your name we pray. Amen.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon.
Okay, is that camera going wackadoo?
Yeah.
We wondered when it was going to be,
It's done.
because it's, see, it's.
Let me get out of here.